How are you guys doing? It's Malagant. Been a while. So for that, we're going to be talking about Warhammer 40k, Inquisitor, Martyr. It's one of the newer RPGs on Steam. I've been playing it for about like 30 hours, something like that on stream for the most part. I don't necessarily have the grasp over the game so much, but at the same time, I did consume most of the content that it has to offer. The first patch, pre-patch, let's say. The first patch is going to be promising, at least it is promising, something called Warzone, which is being teased right now, that it's going to be bringing quite a lot of end game, some customizable end game. At the same time, it will be, you know, endless, they're saying. So that is the information they have been given. I'm kind of looking forward to it. I'll check it out. I'll definitely check it out. Now, first put, this is definitely not the best RPG I played. Is it worth buying? That kind of depends on you, to be honest with you. Personally, for me, it was. I already played about like 30 hours. I did like the content, and I did really like the customizing. And I'll try to explain why I liked what, for the most part. At the same time, I'll tell you it is definitely not worth if you don't enjoy the setting of this game. You know, the Warhammer 40k lore, or the verse, if you would like to call it. At the same time, the sci-fi, the you know, the hangar-looking places. Sort of like, you know, closed encounters and really linear map style, you know, going left or right. Right side is closed. Okay, let's go back again. So if that setting is not for you, and also at the same time it is some sort of like a mission launch based, so in this base right here we can pretty much customize and play around with like the entire character, but once we go to the star map and once we start the mission, there's no customizing or like any involvement with the character anymore. There's not even a chat system, I think, at that point. The game is entirely online. You have your friends list, you have a guild, and on top of that, there's the achievement system, there's the glory that you can gather for a week, and then there's obviously the normal RPG customizing. Instead of the levels, there's ranks. There's maximum 50 ranks in this game, and then there's also something called power rating, which is the item level that your character gets. And if I'm not mistaken, I couldn't necessarily find out how, the power rating is usually dominating the stats, so it is managing to scale your character further. The higher the power rating of an item is, usually it is the better for you. That being said, there's attributes. Every single class, there's 3 classes. There's Crusader, Assassin, and Psyker. I have been playing an Assassin. I didn't necessarily check out the others yet. There's like some sort of graphical glitch happening there. The attributes are Accuracy, Survival, and Bloodlust. I think you can see them all on the screen right now. My camera is not blocking it, and they're definitely interesting. Now, every single one of them has some sort of like a milestone that you can reach to unlock further bonuses that the stat is going to give you. But at the same time, attributes, you specifically gain the attributes from something called the heroic deeds. I kind of like to call them achievements. You can complete these achievements on any character, and they usually give you a perk or an attribute. As you can see, it gives an attribute point. This one gives a perk, that one gives a perk, that one gives an attribute, that one gives an attribute. You get the point. So the achievements in the game, they have relevant rewards. In most cases, it's either a perk or an attribute point, and these attribute points, you can open a new character and they will be there, since with your character, with your accounts, you have been gathering those already. So a new character will start with, like, let's say 7 more attribute points, more than someone else that is new to the game. That's really interesting, actually. And as I said, like, the more you commit into one attribute, the more you get from it. That is really interesting too. Now, this game is definitely not shy when it comes to customizing your characters. There's a lot of items, a lot of stats, and on top of that, the scaling that the power rating brings. One thing that could be seen as disadvantage is that your arsenal, your skill arsenal, is tied to the weapon that you choose. Same goes for the chest piece that you choose. So in this case, I'm playing with a fabricated distortion armor, which gives me the temporal distortion field. So that is a skill in the game, actually. So if I was to like switch this armor into another armor, I think there's a stealth one as well, which is giving me invisibility. I'm losing the skill for the invisibility. Same goes for this weapon. So this weapon is incredibly good and by far my favorite playstyle in this game so far. If I were to use any other weapon in the game other than power sword, assassin power sword, I should say, then I wouldn't be able to play my favorite playstyle. Now, that is quite questionable, but that is the way that they have went with this game, and that is respectable, to be honest with you. So some sort of like Victor Ren, if you would like to call it. I think Guild Wars has the same system as well, skills being tied to the weapons. Now, that being said, the skill trees, they're really interesting. They're being unlocked by doing specific things in the game. So let's say area of effect is probably being unlocked by dealing area damage. Same goes for close combat, engaging in melee. Range combat, engaging in range. So as you can see, I didn't necessarily unlock the aim shots, the suppression, the heat attacks yet. Because I haven't been using them at all. And every single one of these, they have their own trees, and you're absolutely free to give at any point and spread as much as you want. We have been taking a little bit here and there HP from the hit points, and I have full critical and area of effects. Now, every single tree, they have one special node, which is, I like to call it ultimate. Now, in this case, the criticals has something called Red Thirst. That is definitely the most powerful node in the critical. Same goes for damage over time. It would be somewhere around the middle. Most of the time, it's called Toxin Synergy. To be able to take those powerful nodes, not only reaching it is enough, but also completing every single connection. So in this case, 1, 2, 3. We need to be approaching from there, you know, from the right side, from the left side, and from the bottom. Then, and only then, I'll be able to actually activate this. This is really interesting. So you could spread your points all over the place, but then you would be missing the most powerful nodes. That is really cool. I think I really like the skill system in this game. And on top of that, there's something called perks. The perks are, if you have played Van Helsing, which are the developers of this game as well, they were there as well, if I'm not mistaken. Perks are being unlocked by doing either the achievements or, you know, getting certain things done in the game, and you can run 3 perks at a time when you reach level 30, if I'm not mistaken, till level 10, I want to say. You can actually check it out. So at level 30, yeah, you can have an extra perk slot. What about 20? What about 10? Huh, interesting. I don't... Okay, it is 15 the extra. So at level 15 and then at level 30, you'll be reaching the second and the third perk slots. And you could run pretty much like anything, and they're really massive. Like in this case, it is giving me 1% critical hit chance and critical hit damage for 5 seconds, and it stacks up to 10 if I'm not mistaken. That's incredible. The Keen Fury, every single kill. This one is giving me critical hit chance 10%, but reduces my maximum HP. And that one gives me critical hit damage, but reduces my overall damage. That's really interesting too. I am kind of questioning this one. Not really sure if that is worth, but this perk system is really cool too. So there's a lot of ways to like customize your character. On top of, we can talk about the Inoculator a little bit as well. That is a really cool system too. So Inoculator is your healing machine, let's say, or like temporary buff machine, and this is an item that you find on the ground, or like, you know, an item that you craft, and then it has this capability. So these 4 nodes on it. So in this case, it's healing me. It is giving me a damage bonus for 20 seconds, and then it also passively reduces the Inoculators, the healing potions, I like to call it, cooldown. And it is definitely possible to have an Inoculator that doesn't heal you, because if it is missing this coagulants or whatever, I don't necessarily know how to pronounce it, then it won't be healing you. That is really weird. So yeah, I did die once like that. I was running an Inoculator, and I was like pressing the button, and I was like, well, I just used my healing potion. How did I die? Well, then I learned about this. Basically, that was really interesting. I've never seen a game do that before. I want to see if I have anything else that I would like to mention about, like, especially character customizing before we jump into a mission together. There's obviously crafting in this game. You can salvage items. You can craft good stuff for your character all the time, and it's really cheap as long as you craft something that's not that valuable or unique, let's say. The NPC always resets. 60 minutes, the vendor, I should say, and selling new stuff every 60 minutes. Sometimes really valuable things too. I usually sell like everything, every color to the NPC, other than the purple one, the artificer items. And for the artificers, I usually just like salvage them, because they're giving specific crafting items, crafting resources, let's say. Alright, so just to show how the game plays as well, we're going to do some rather easy side mission to show you my character, how it plays. Also, I wanted to talk about some of the criticism that the game is getting from like Steam reviews. I already mentioned about like if it's worth or not, to be honest with you, but at the same time I want to talk about like if the game is running well. It has been running well on my computer. I personally cannot play any game that is not running well anyways. I am extremely obsessed when it comes to like my frame rate. Any sort of game doesn't necessarily need to be PvP or like competitive. I definitely need that high frame rate. That being said, this game didn't necessarily have any problems with the FPS whatsoever, for me at least. And hopefully that will be the case for everyone else that is purchasing the game too. But I think the latest patch did help that a little bit. On top of that, the game is getting quite a lot of criticism when it comes to like being a slow ARPG, therefore you cannot really compare it to the others. I would say it is not necessarily slow. I would say those guys didn't necessarily build a, make a build that is, capable of not only running fast but also jumping around like I do here. So I guess they kind of like rushed to conclusion. But I would definitely understand, this is only doable by using this specific weapon. Not every weapon has this much mobility, or not every build has this much mobility, maybe even not every class. So we have already, mentioned that, we have already said that that's sort of a disadvantage, especially when it comes to an ARPG. But it definitely fits this game that even if it was running slow, like let's say, even if it was playing slow or like a little bit more tactical with especially certain weapons, it definitely fits this theme and the game's style. If you rush the game, you almost feel like, there's no point, because there's not that feeling in the game yet that you receive from like, let's say, randomized rifts in Diablo, or like, the map system that you can just like rush from left to right and open a new one, because you're trying to make it as efficient as possible when it comes to your experience per hour in Path of Exile. So it didn't bother me in this game, but on top of all that, I did still prefer playing a character like this, where you can just like jump around, move around, charge around all the time. But it came with a huge trade, to be honest with you. If the content is hard, when I go for an impossible mission on the tarot cards, they're definitely destroying me. So I think I'm going to be done. I'll be coming up with like more videos, or like at least stream VODs. I'll be uploading them to YouTube to show you a little bit more of a journey when it comes to this character. I really hope that you enjoyed the video. I'll be coming up with like more content, hopefully, guys. See you soon.